Apple's annual Worldwide Developers Conference kicks off later today. Ahead of it, the stock is up by about 0.6%. Joining us right now with what to expect is Toni Sacconaghi. He's a retired senior research analyst from Bernstein. And Tony, Apple is facing a lot of issues as we head into this Worldwide Developers Conference. Usually you expect some excitement from this conference. It can jumpstart the stock in a lot of ways. But this year, there's not a lot of expected from the conference. What are you looking for?
Good morning, Becky. You're right. I mean, last year, investors were worried about the emergence of AI and how Apple was going to respond. And this meeting was important, and investors liked what Apple said. Apple had a partnership with OpenAI, and it also highlighted how it really was the access point to AI, and Apple could personalize AI. Since then, Apple really has not delivered on some of the AI integration that it had hoped to deliver on for this year. And I don't think we're going to hear a ton about AI today. I think we're going to hear mainly about operating systems updates. We're going to hear a little bit about how AI APIs will be available. There'll be some new AI features. But I think what investors were really looking for and hopeful for a year ago was that Apple would be able to make AI much more personal on device, integrate many Apple applications, and it hasn't been able to deliver on that. And so I don't think we're going to have much coming out of this event beyond expected operating system upgrades.
I think the push from investors has probably shifted. Maybe a year and a half ago or so, people were kind of lauding Apple for not spending as much on AI. You think that was a mistake at this point? And how much do you want them to spend at this point?
I don't think it was a mistake.
Okay.
If we think back to the internet and the huge businesses that developed around, particularly around search, which was very, very costly, and one leader emerged, Apple did really well. Why? Because Apple is a channel. It's the access point to 2.3 billion devices, 1 billion affluent consumers. And so Apple's role going forward, I think, in the AI world will be bringing AI to its installed base. Now, it can do that via partnership. It has one with OpenAI. It's expected to announce one with Google and Gemini going forward. And it's getting paid handsomely today to provide access for Google to search. I think going forward, because Apple has this installed base, it can really act as a channel more than as the technology provider. And that's exactly what it's done in search, and it's been wildly successful.
Okay, let's talk about those two issues. The first you just brought up is this idea that they are paid very, very well, billions of dollars a year to serve by Google for search. Will that continue because of regulatory scrutiny? And then, of course, tariffs is the big question that's really overhanging the stock right now, too.
Sure. I think on the Google payments, Apple does provide a service. It provides access to its customers. Amazon does that for third-party sales. And so Apple deserves to be compensated because it's opening up its customer base. Now, there are scenarios by which, regulatory bodies could say, hey, you can't have an exclusive deal with Google. But I think there will be someone who will be willing to pay ultimately for access to those customers, whether it be for search or whether it be for to be the default AI engine per se. But Apple is providing a very meaningful role. It's providing access to this really affluent customer base. On your second question around tariffs, look, I've always thought that probably the biggest existential threat to Apple was that something went very, very wrong in China. It's 20% of revenues. It's 80+% of Apple's production in China. And so that is a really significant issue. I think the tariffs that we're hearing, bandied about today around 30%, is something that Apple could likely handle with a 3 to 5% global price increase if push came to shove and those tariffs ultimately happened. I don't think Apple can move the supply chain in the near to medium term to the U.S., but I do think it it has pricing power. Now, obviously, raising prices will have some demand impacts on iPhones going forward, but a 3% price increase globally is not ominous for a device that people really view as essential.